I have, yeah. So I did like.
What is voiceover? Like, you mean cartoon voiceover?
I wish. So
I wish you did too.
I
just
know.
for you.
One man, one way.
Yeah, that's good.
In a time before time, in a land beyond.
Wow.
Shut the fuck
Do it
up.
again.
Come on, I'll do a spot
Give
for
him-
you,
get-
dude.
Rob, give him something. Give him something to do.
Give me like a Star Wars type in a galaxy.
All right.
In a galaxy far, far away.
I can't. I'm like laughing and
You
trying
can
to
do
do
it. Do it. It's good. You sound perfect.
Thank you.
The MSCS Media Podcast. One man, two men, one room. A bunch of fucking spaghetti on the floor.
He's a beast.
I gotta warm it up, you know.
That's good, man. So now, what would you do that for? That is really fucking
Movies,
good.
yeah. No, I actually haven't done that voice. I wish I did, but I did like.
That sounds as good as any, if not better
well,
than.
thank you. With this microphone, everything sounds good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But I remember we used to when I was like.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The last time you did it, that it really was good.
Oh
Like-
yeah.
Like, because I want to know, like, what the atmosphere was like, who you were with,
Right.
like the whole setup, how long did it take to kick in?
Oh yeah.
What do you,
Everything.
what little bit do you remember? You know, how did it change it? And then when you were done, how did you feel? You know, so
Oh yeah.
you wake up,
Beginning to end.
you have breakfast, you have lunch, you go meet Jimmy down the street. Jimmy
Yeah.
gets you in a fucking car. You go to the woods and you just hope there's
And
no
we
fucking
go ride the
bears there.
tilt-a-whirl at
Yeah,
fucking Six
yeah,
Flags and
yeah.
go crazy now.
Ah, fuck that. I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
going out on
God.
that shit. I'm sitting on a fucking couch with something to knock it
Yeah.
out of me in case I have a reaction.
Exactly.
So give it to me from beginning to end.
So when I was like, you know, probably a teenager, I was like depressed like any fucking normal teenager, but you know, it was just like fucking wacky life and
Yeah.
yada yada. It's normal, you know.
Everybody.
I was depressed and I was like trying to find things that I was like, I want to change my mind. I want to change my brain. I want to rewire myself and, you know, learning about different techniques. You know, obviously you don't need drugs to do that, right? But then I found stuff like Terrence McKenna and like
Terrence McKenna is great.
right. And
Yeah.
then, you know, like Timothy Leary. And I was like, oh, this shit is really interesting. I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious about this. So I started buying books and reading and doing a lot of research. And I was like, this seems like an interesting way to kind of change my perspective on reality, right? So basically from that, and, you know, I'd smoked pot and shit when I was like a kid, you know what I mean? And so what we used to do, we ended up doing it a good amount, you know, between the ages of 16 and 19. And we would fast for like a day or two. I wouldn't eat anything for like a day or two. And then I would eat like a quarter ounce by myself. So like it was a lot.
And what is it? How much does a normal person take?
An eighth is a lot usually for most people. That's like you're going to have like a fucking
Good time.
experience.
Yeah.
Or a nightmare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to eat a lot, and we'd be out in the woods. So we'd go off into the woods for the day, and there was this place, Hedden Park, I remember, and they had like waterfalls everywhere. And I remember we'd like go way off into the woods,
How many people are with you?
like maybe 2 tops. You
so
know,
you, 2 other people,
Yep.
and everybody's gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's always the thing. So like if even say like there's somebody that's gonna kind of like keep everybody cool and like guide it or whatever you want to call it, the trip guide, that person still does it, but like maybe not as much, right? But we'd all just eat and we were fucking maniacs. So like,
Right.
I remember, you know,
So it was kind of like set up like, okay, you're not gonna do too much today,
Right, yeah.
but then you get there and you're like,
do it
fuck
anyway,
this,
yeah,
give me
fuck,
give me a half ounce more.
yeah,
Right.
no, that'd be crazy.
That might be a little too much.
Maybe I mean the most I ate at once was like a quarter ounce, and that was plenty for sure.
So now you're with 3 people and you
Mhm.
go to the waterfall.
Yep.
Now, is there a reason why you choose to go to a waterfall?
Well, particularly with psilocybin or I mean acid in this case, or anything, whatever, you know.
Give me the psilocybin one because I'm scared to death of that fucking acid shit. I'm afraid I'll never come back.
Mushrooms I felt like are way more fucking intense for me personally.
The
Like
psilocy-
I got to be in the
psilocybin?
woods away from people. Acid I can like have a conversation and like you might
I
think
might
oh,
not
that guy's
even
fucking
know.
weird, but yeah,
No, no.
like, yeah, maybe. Like I could be out in public and not forget how to use
Yeah, I want
money.
to know about
you
the
know what I
psilocybin
mean? Yeah.
one. The psilocybin experience, the best one you had. That's the one I want to know.
So that's what we would do. We'd go out in the woods, and I remember like, you know, there'd be points that, you know, you have these like fucking massive realizations. You're like, oh my, and it's you don't even know what it's about.
Okay, so you're out by the waterfall. You're with
Mhm.
your friends.
Turn our
right?
phones off.
Turn our phones
no
off.
phones.
You sit
yeah.
down.
Yep. Sit down. We'd start smoking. So we'd eat the mushrooms
Eat the actual
and
mushroom.
then start smoking weed because I felt like it would kind of like
Ease
instead
your
of
way
just
into
boom
it?
all of a sudden it would like ease your way into it.
Indica weed.
No, whatever
Just
we
whatever
had, I didn't
fucking-
know
yeah,
at
back
the time.
then it was
yeah,
like,
it was like
uh,
whatever Jack Herrera
Yeah,
shit. Like,
What they call the crumbs at the bottom back then when we were kids?
Shake.
Shake.
the shake's the
Shake.
best, man, because there's no sticks and shit in it.
It's
It's
easy
just
to roll.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it's true.
So you eat the mushrooms and then you smoke some weed.
Yep.
To calm yourself into going
Right.
into it. Now, from the time you eat it, how long does it take to hit? If I pound a quarter ounce, which would probably
God,
send
yeah.
me to the moon.
Don't do it. Yeah.
No. But okay, so you take a quarter ounce. How long does that take to hit?
So
Where you
because
start to feel it come on.
I mean because I wouldn't eat for like a day or two sometimes
Get your
before
money's worth.
it was like 15, 20 minutes. And then you just start laughing. You get the giggles and you're like, But the thing is, I feel like some people, they would get like sick. People would throw up.
I heard that.
I never had that happen because I don't know what it was. I felt like if you just, once you ate them, we'd like sit, we'd relax ourselves, we'd like be calm and just like observe like you know what it's like in the Poconos and shit and the fucking like in the woods in Jersey. Like it's beautiful. They don't have that here. It's the one thing that drives me nuts. You can hear like the wind going through the trees and like there's just something I'm getting goosebumps. There's something magical about that. You just like you feel like you're in nature. Like I mean, because you are, right? So we would just be quiet and fucking listen to the earth, like some hippie shit, and then just like 10 minutes later, like I can't look at your face right now, dude. It's like melting into itself, and it's just hilarious, and you're laughing. And then that giggling turns it, and then we'd get up and start walking. So I missed my point. So I felt like if we had gotten up and started walking around, then it would like jostle your stomach up, and so we would just like calm ourselves down, and like none of us ever had a problem like with getting sick from that. So, but it would just slowly get more intense. So like it's first is giggling
You could feel, like,
hysterically,
creeping and shit?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it gets really fucking intense sometimes, especially when you eat like a quarter ounce of like really strong fucking mushrooms, like, and there's all different kinds of, that have different amounts of psilocybin. There's other ones that aren't psilocybin that are other things, and there's all kinds of shit. But
psilocybin, that's the one that opens your mind up to like the universe.
I mean,
is that
it
accurate?
could be like, I mean, it could also just be a chemical reaction in your brain. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the one I always hear about that is
Yeah.
opens you up more.
Yeah.
Not like I don't know much about it, I just know
Right.
that one. So
Mhm.
like the other ones, from what I know, and I don't know much about it,
Right.
but they're more of like an acid high. Like you see shit,
Yeah.
things are fuzzy, you're fucking melting in front of
Mhm.
me. Like your head's going sideways,
Right.
but it's really straight.
Exactly.
And then the psilocybin's
Mhm.
more like life and reality and what all
Yeah.
this is and shit that
Totally.
you're really not supposed to be able to tap into, you tap into.
Yep. And that was the thing. I always felt like, so like acid, people, I'm seeing trails. I was like, I never cared about seeing anything. Like I was just like, it's not about
that
the
would freak
visual
me out.
shit. It's just, that is just distraction. So it was always about like the mental trip, right? So, or psycho-spiritual, whatever you want to call it. So it would be like, first you're laughing, all this shit, and then you start like thinking about things, and you notice things, and it really literally lights up different parts of your brain that you're not normally using. And it kind of makes, I don't know how to, like, neurotransmitters, whatever. It essentially, like, they've hooked people up with scanning machines, whatever the fuck they're called, when they're tripping, and they basically see like different parts of the brain are communicating with each other, that don't normally communicate. So it's more like it brings your whole shit together, and that's why you have these like realizations, like, oh my god, it makes sense. And you'd be like staring at the fucking this guy, this little statue over here, like, oh man, but what does it mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everything makes sense now. I think, whether it makes sense or not, when you come out of it is not the point. This is the problem, I think, too, with a lot of, what people want to, mystical traditions and stuff. A lot of people don't know how to go into that, and because you can make yourself fucking trip without anything. Like, you can work your brain up into a state of whatever you want to, like theta state, or where you're in totally like connected to the subconscious or whatever. The problem is, like, you can't fucking stay there. You have to come back to reality. you know, because this is where we are. You know, you can't stay up in the clouds all day. Otherwise, you're going to be like this broke ass like yogi dude who just like, oh, you know, what does it mean all the time? Like that gets old.
Because that's just not where you're at.
Right. You need to bring it back to reality. And this is going, you know, this is the problem I have with a lot of like new age shit. They get nothing done. You know what I mean? They're just
Agreed.
La la la, man, the good. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's great for the time that you are having that experience. Then you're supposed to come back to reality, and that's why, like in a lot of these, like mystery traditions or even whatever you want to call it, ceremonial stuff, they have like banishing. It's called. So whether you're really working with these like spiritual forces or it's all in your fucking head, it doesn't make a difference because it has the same effect.
The end result's the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. So like you banishing, meaning like, okay, like I just clearing the space of everything, good and bad. So it's just neutral space. Then I'm going to consciously, willfully create the space that I want. Like, you know, whatever weird psychodrama scenario you want to work out or whatever it is, or, you know, like I want to make more money or some fucking low shit like that. Like, okay, yeah, everybody wants more money, you know, whatever. You work yourself up into this space where you're connected into the subconscious mind, and then you can kind of like inject things into there, and then you banish everything again, so it kind of brings you back to the normal space. You know, which is kind of like a trip if you think about it. You know, when you take mushrooms or something, like you're going off into this fucking weird realm where, oh my God, everything makes sense now, and then finally when it's over, you're like, what just happened? I don't know, but I feel good. I feel refreshed.
So if I'm following you, what you're saying is the point of like psilocybin, for example, is not necessarily to get high.
Right.
It's to go to another place in your brain, however the reactions react, it creates the atmosphere that you're in while the chemical triggers something that makes it active.
Right.
Is to live that experience during the time when you're tripping or high or whatever on the mushrooms or the psilocybin, and then take something from that and bring it back and apply it to your reality that you're going to live for the rest of your time here on this place.
And usually it's subconscious, so you don't even realize you're taking it back. So that's why it's important to put yourself in a scenario where, you know, setting. Okay, with the exception of dimethyltryptamine, which we can talk about. DMT, oh my God.
Yeah, well,
dude.
we just had Kristen here. Casey, he was just in here, so we'll touch on that.
That's a whole other thing, dude.
Yeah.
But with the exception of that, hallucinogenic
Rob's about
things,
to do DMT.
I would never tell anybody ever to do drugs in their life, but if you get a chance to do it, don't fucking hesitate. Like, just do it.
So, but with the psilocybin,
right?
So, what did you get from that?
Basically, I mean, because of the intention that I had going into it and the setting, like I was saying, where you are, like I'm gonna go fucking go to the mall and trip my brains out. It'd be a hellish nightmare. I'd be in Dawn of the Dead. You know what I mean?
But I mean, like, what was your takeaway from like the biggest trip that you had?
We were there last time because my bass player lives there. He lives in Uishkaralice is what it's called. It's like southeastern Czech. My guitarist and I, you know, he would go to bed and he'd be like, all right, you fucking guys go drink or whatever. And we're like riding bikes around, and we wound up meeting this bartender down the street. And we like go in and there's like dudes smoking weed in this bar. We're like, what the fuck is going on? And we talked to this guy and went up hanging out with him, and he's like, oh, I'm going to take you, go eat something. And we went to this place, and literally, like, for the three of us, it was beers like this tall, which I'm not a beer guy, but like, oh my God, the beer there is like milkshakes. It's ridiculous.
It tastes good and probably strong.
Unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah. And it's like Pilsner, but it's like smooth, and beer is actually cheaper than water there somehow.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it's because I got hops growing everywhere.
And where's that at again?
In Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. Wow. So beer's cheaper than water in Czech Republic.
Yeah, it was a little bit wow. I got fucking reamed out so much on the tour. I was like 21 years old, you know, with these like old dudes that have fucking been doing this shit forever.
Were they cool to you though?
Oh no, but like yes, but you know not.
But like a hard cool, like a hard cool,
very
right?
hard cool, like yeah.
And then when you get back and now you have this in your pocket, you know, as a portfolio, where do you go from there?
I pretty much just kept playing, or I kept trying to do whatever, you know, I could do, and like I wound up. In Philly, there was a band that was called WOE, which is, you know, again, more specific subgenre. It's called black metal.
I think I heard of WOE before.
Yeah, I know there's like a "Woe is me" or something too, but I don't know.
I might have just heard like in passing
Yeah.
at some point.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Everybody used to do the Joey Lawrence. Whoa!
Yeah.
The singer
Yeah.
fucking hated that so much. He's like, "Shut up!"
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's funny.
A lot of bands break up. Being that you're in that industry, like when you see like a band that's really killing it, like what's the most awful? Is it jealousy or like envy or money or drugs?
It's all of the above.
All
a lot
of the
of
above?
times. A lot of times people just you fizzle out too. But I mean, it's like a fucking relationship where you're not banging each other. It's crazy. You know what I mean? You want to fucking strangle each other sometimes. Other times you're crying, hugging each other. Like it's ridiculous. But I mean, especially like when you're touring with each other all over the world and like going to these wacky places, and it's like an initiatory experience. So you're really bonded, like it's your brothers, But sometimes you want to fucking kill your brother, what I mean?
Yeah, and then it gets to the point where it's somebody's time to go.
Yeah, and sometimes people can't handle it. Really, some people just can't fucking handle it.